Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk Star Collecting Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and today we're going to take a look at the Sons of Behemat in the current season of Warhammer Age of Sigmar in Andtor. In this video, we're going to start by talking about one of the Mega Gargants in particular, that is the Kraken Eater, and also talk briefly about the Gatebreaker and War Stomper variant that can be built from this particular Mega Gargant kit. And then we'll look at some other units we can use to expand upon the initial purchase here. We'll finally finish off the video with a little sample armor list of 1,000 points for you to use, hopefully as some inspiration for starting your own force of the Sons of Behemat in the current season of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so, to begin with, let's talk about the Mega Gargant kit. As mentioned, this can be built in 3 different varieties of Mega Gargant. This will also, if you are grabbing the Mega Gargant, say for an ally force, to bring in as a mercenary to some of your other forces, it can be built as the named character variants, which are exactly the same as the regular variants. They just have their cool names and can be used. The first one of these, though, is I think the one that I personally am going to have the most fun with in the current season, and that is the Kraken Eater. Now, the Kraken Eater Mega Gargant has 35 wounds, we have a 4+ save and bravery 7, and then you've got a move of 10 inch that degrades as you sort of take more wounds, but only degrades to 8 at its worst bracket. Now, you've got your Shipwrecker War Club, which is your main attack profile. This will have 4 attacks at full health, with 3s and 3s, rend 2, damage 4, and then you've got the Almighty Stomp and Death Grip there, as well as do all Mega Gargants. This model can also hurl debris as well for a nice little bit of range damage there as well. Now, Mega Gargants, first of all, they have the Sons of Behemat rule, where if the effect of a spell or ability would instantly slay the model, they instead suffer d6 mortal wounds. And then you've got Almighty Stomp as well, where you can add one to hit rolls for your Almighty Stomp attack profile if you're fighting an enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 3 or less. Next, you have Crushing Charge. This allows you to do mortal wounds, and if that happens to be a monster, it turns out it'll be a little bit less, but you can do quite a bit of mortal wounds to an enemy unit when you come in with d6 mortal wounds. Death Grip, when you're determining the damage inflicted by it, if you're targeting a monster, you roll 2 dice instead of 1 and pick the result you want. And then you've got things like Longshanks, which allows you to essentially move over a bunch of stuff. Stuff 'em in me net is a really fun move where when this unit makes a pile in, you can pick up to D3 enemy models to essentially stuff in your net and instant slay them by rolling at least double their wounds characteristic. Terror will stop Inspiring Presence being able to used within 3 inch of you, and Timber as well means when this Gargant actually dies, it'll fall over and potentially crush some enemy models. Now, the big thing for the Mega Gargant is the Get Off Me Land ability, where in your hero phase, if a friendly unit with this ability are on the battlefield within 1 inch of any objectives, you can effectively kick the objectives around the table, which is pretty cool. Now, the other variants of the Mega Gargant, first of all, we have the Gatebreaker, which is going to be a much more sort of aggressive playstyle one. This one has some abilities that really do help it punch into things like buildings and fortification units and units in cover. And then you've also got the War Stomper variant, which is really good if you're going to choose to run an army of really lots and lots of the little Man-Crusher Gargants, which we'll talk about in the next slide. But this one is generally a sort of war leader, and he does really well at providing buffs to the smaller Gargants. So, and it is, one of the cheaper variants of it as well. Today's video is brought to you by Gap Games, a fantastic retailer in Australia for a variety of different miniature war games. If you'd like to help support the channel, we have an affiliate link where by clicking on and purchasing, you'll help support the channel, but you'll also help support Gap Games, which is a fantastic servant to the community. And so, where to go next for our Gargants? And the first one we're going to look at are the Man-Crusher Gargants. Now, these are really interesting. They come in either a unit of single Man-Crusher Gargants or in what's called a Man-Crusher mob. We purchase 3 that do act as individual units, but they effectively take up 1 battlefield role slot. Now, with these, you're going to get their Massive Clubs, which is going to be their main attack profile with 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 2. You then got your Mighty Kicks and Headbutts for some more high rend damage attacks there as well, along with the unit being able to throw some rocks for a little bit of range. The Keep Up ability, if this unit's within 15 inch of any friendly Mega Gargant at the start of the phase, it can attempt to charge even if it ran, which is really nice. Stomping Charge as well allows you to do mortal wounds on the charge. They have a Stuff Me in the Bag ability, which is sort of like the Kraken Eater's ability, but only 1 model per one of your Gargants. And Timber, you do some mortal wounds when these models eventually die. Now we do have a secondary kit for the Gargants. That is the King Broad / Beast Smasher Mega Gargant kit. Now, King Broad can be built, and he is a named character for our Gargants. 40 wounds, 4+ save. He's got the Obelisk of Tor Crania, which at its full profile will have 4 attacks at 3s and 3s, Ren 2, damage 5. And then he's got his Almighty Stomp and Death Grip in there as well. Now, he is a War Master, so he always counts as your general, even if you have another general on the table, which is really useful. Almighty Stomp there is the same as the others, along with things like Crushing Charge, Death Grip, Longshank, Sons of Behemat, Terror, and Timber. But he does have some other abilities. So the first of these is going to be the Creepers. These are the little things you can see around the model. If you go have a look at a bigger picture of Broad, and in fact you can see on the picture we've got behind here as our backdrop, you can see the little creepers down on the bottom. In each charge phase, the first time an enemy monster within 3 inches of this unit is picked to carry out a monstrous rampage, if the roll is equal to or greater than the creeper's value shown on this unit's damage table, that unit can't carry out a monstrous rampage. So that'll be a 2+ to begin with. Now, we then have the Power of Behemat, where this means Broad is actually a priest, so we're going to be able to get some prayers. This can either give some extra movement to our friendly Sons of Behemat unit, healing, or pummel all to dust, where you can improve the rend of a bunch of weaponries as well. Now, the other Mega Gargant variant you can build from that is the Beast Smasher Mega Gargant. This is a more aggressive style Mega Gargant you can take. Once again, it's got a lot of the same things we know from all the other Sons of Behemat, but you've got your Minehair Club, which is 3 attacks at 3s and 2s, Ren -3 at full profile with damage 5. Now, Beast Breaking Strike, when this unit fights and it's within 3 inches of an enemy monster, you can say it'll unleash its Beast Breaking Strike. You give up all your attacks, but you make one big attack with your Minehair Club and cannot be modified in any way. The damage characteristic of this attack, however, is 5d6. Now, you then have a Behemat Brawler as well, where at the end of the charge phase, if this unit's within 3 inches of any enemy monsters, you can carry out 2 monstrous rampages instead of 1. If you do so, though, each monstrous rampage must be carried out. This unit must be different, and each must target an enemy monster. Now, lastly for this as well, the Ender spells actually come in really handy, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in the next slide as we show you the sample army list, but there are ways to get wizards on your Gargants, which is pretty cool. And so, here we have our sample army list. Sons of Behemat as obvious, and we've gone for the Taker Tribe. Now, Taker Tribe gives us 2 main abilities. The first of these is Get Rid of Them, where we effectively get our Man Crusher Gargants to count as 15 models rather than 10, and the Mightier Makes Rightier rule for our Mega Gargants has +5 on it for however much the models count for objective capture. We then also have I Want That for Me Collection, which is a commanded ability that can be used on a Man Crusher Gargant from our general, and we can add one to the damage characteristic of their weaponry. Now, we then have a grand strategy of On the Warpath here as well. On the Warpath is a pretty solid grand strategy. This just means at the end of the game, you complete this grand strategy if every friendly unit is on the battlefield and they are in the opponent's territory. And then we go into our Triumph. We are 30 points under, so good chance we're going to get it. We've gone for a Triumph here of Inspired, +1 to wound. You certainly could, if you want, go for the reroll to charge, but I think the +1 to wound can be really useful for making those Man Crusher Gargants really hit how you want them to. Now, we then have our Kraken Eater, who's going to be our general, and we've got on the command trait, which is a basic one of Monstrously Tough. This just gives us +5 wounds, which is really nice, especially at the lower point values. And then we have the artifact of the Glowy Lantern, where the bearer becomes a wizard. It can attempt to cast one spell in your hero phase that summons an endless spell. It only knows spells that summon an endless spell and cannot attempt to cast any other spells, however. We then have a battle line allotment of 3 single Man Crusher Gargants. Now, you could put these into one big unit of 3, but I think at a smaller points value, you probably want to run these individually. This will give you more board presence and the ability to sort of split them off across the table. Lastly, we have the Endless Spell, and you do have 100 points at this point to spend on Endless Spell, so you really could put whichever one you want in. Ravanax Gnashing Jaws, I think, is a really fun one, just some mortal wound damage for the force. Everything here is wrapped up in a Foot Sluggers battalion, which means we're a 1-drop force, and thanks to the latest FAQ, what this does is actually gives us both of the abilities, so we also get Swift as well as the nice extra sort of unified ability. With that said, though, if you've got some ideas for Sons of Behemat in the current season of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our great little community we have here at Sinful Gaming, we have a Discord server which is linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel, be that via Patreon or YouTube members, or by grabbing yourself some merch, whether that's stickers, t-shirt, mugs, or anything from our Teespring store as well, or by using our affiliate links, which are also linked down in the description as well, that go a long way to helping support the channel. As a special thank you to all our Patreons and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So thank you to Andy C, Grimskull, Colorblind Magic, Iron Grinch, Benjamin Swallows, James Cater, Mark Harvey, Domir, Average Wargamer, JJ Austrian, Cure Dynamic, Andrew Bowen, Alderin Shot First, Kendi Lull, Soren, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny 84, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Monty Stabletop Terrain, James Tillman, Disco, John Castle, and Gargamel 196. Thank you all so much for helping support the channel. It means the absolute world to us. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Once again, everyone, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.